Okay. Hi, Maggie. Good afternoon. Can you introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about what you do?
Okay, my name is Maggie Morrissey. I am the Senior Community Water Officer with the Local Authority Waters Programme. The Local Authority Waters Programme is a national organisation, and I'm based in the southeast of Ireland. So we have 6 counties, number of large catchments, and I manage the communities team in this area.
So what are you trying to achieve?
I suppose we work to the Water Framework Directive, which in Ireland translates into the Water Action Plan. So we're working to achieve the objectives of the action plan, that sounds very big, but what we're trying to do really is to engage communities in all of the catchments in the southeast to engage them in taking care of their local water body. So we're looking at we're thinking about, I suppose, the national plan, but looking at it in a very local, specific, thinking of it locally.
So it's that old think global, do local.
It is a little bit, yeah. I suppose it is. It is. You have a strategic plan, but to achieve that, you've got to break it down into all its components, and then down until you get to the small actions that together are going to actually achieve the big objective.
So what does a project look like from your perspective?
So I suppose we have different projects. So we have some physical projects, as in capital projects. So that could be a river restoration project or a planting project. And then we have projects that are awareness raising. So events, a little bit of training, building awareness and increasing knowledge in a community. And then we have, like, at the other end of the scale, then we have projects that actually fund project officers in catchment organisations. So it's the whole range of everything for community groups.
So how does a restoration project look like from a community perspective? What do you have to do? Is it matter?
Well, I suppose a restoration project doesn't just come about overnight. So generally, it's a community group that has been working together. It might have started doing like one Heritage Week event, and then it's built knowledge, built its capacity, and then sees, with the support from LawPro and other agencies, sees a problem in the local river that can be addressed, by planting, by a riparian area, or by actual river restoration works in, willow planting or something like that. So I suppose for us, it's about us working with the group to help them identify what needs to be done and then help them to be able to deliver the project.
So how do you do that? I mean,
I suppose there's a lot of things. So yeah, funding is the really easy one. Not the easy one, but we can provide the funding, but that's only part of it. So community groups can vary hugely. There's some absolutely amazing people, professionals who are giving up their free time, and they're volunteers in community groups. Some community groups maybe don't have certain skills that they might need to deliver a project. So we can help them with that. So we can support them literally in, this is what we need to do, and we need to do this next, and then next and next. So we can support them in that. We can also link them with other groups that maybe have completed a project. So a little bit of networking can be really important and really beneficial for everyone. So there are two of the things that we can do to help a group. So, well, three things. So I suppose helping with funding, supporting then in the actual implementation of a project, and then increasing their network or increasing their knowledge by helping them network with other groups who've successfully done projects.
So are all river projects the same? Got like those three things and check the box, or they're all different?
No, there's no two projects would be the same. There's just huge variation, and when you talk about rivers, there's like, who owns the river, what planning needs to be put in place. Getting permissions to do any work in the river is maybe National Parks and Wildlife Services, Inland Fisheries Ireland. So it's a little bit of a minefield if you don't know where you're going and you don't know what you're doing. So it takes, I suppose, it's always collaborative effort. So it takes, if you have a community group that wants to do a project, they will have to be working with the relevant agencies. If we're giving the funding, they will still need to work with other agencies, inland fisheries, for example. So yeah, there's a lot. They're not easy projects, really. They're complicated. Water is a complicated resource.
Well, with Ireland's dairy industry and the general ways that the streams are often dredged, how does that impact river restoration in Ireland? How does that impact your work?
Yeah, so there was a lot of work done in drainage. There was a national program for drainage here for a very long time. So a lot of alterations have happened in the past, and that has caused significant water quality issues that are, I suppose, becoming more and more apparent. Um, so yeah, but I suppose a community group will often work with the local landowners, and that's very beneficial for everybody. So if they're working with the local landowners to maybe do this restoration project, that everybody is learning, everybody is benefiting from each other's willingness to partake in the project. So because quite often community groups don't own a lot of land, so they often need the landowners to be involved too.
So you facilitate all of that? Is that kind of your job?
Yeah, we can do. So yeah, our job varies every day. So this, yeah, but we can do that.
And when you say it varies every day, help me understand. What does that mean?
I suppose, yeah. So I suppose our groups, and we do more than just support groups. So we would work in kind of stakeholder engagement as well with the local authorities and with the other agencies. So that's one part of what we do. And then we would work with groups. So groups can vary from, 2 or 3 people who've just come together and they're concerned about the river, or they're interested in biodiversity and they don't know what to do. Or some very, very well established groups who've been in existence for 10 years longer, who maybe know what they want to do. Maybe some of their members are getting older, they need new members. So it varies in, I suppose, the supports that people need, identifying what they need, working with them. You have to very much listen, see what they need, and then how we can help them.
So what would you tell somebody who wants to do a river restoration project? What's the best way to start? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, so I suppose you've got to identify the issue. So where do you go to identify maybe an issue is really clear. The bank is collapsing and it's taking some of the playground, for example, or something like that. So maybe it's very clear. But in some instances, people want to do something positive, but they don't know what to do. So, maybe you need to talk to inland fisheries or to National Parks and Wildlife Service. You need to talk to them to see, or you do a bit of research. Even desktop will get you a lot of information on, maybe the habitats upstream or downstream. And also we have a science team that works with the local authority waters program. So we have access to great information and they have great knowledge of the rivers and the pressures. So yeah, so it's very much, I suppose, about linking the right people for the right piece.
Okay, well, that's great. That's great. Thank you very much. Okay. You said your job is strategic. Tell me about the strategic aspect in nature-based solutions, particularly.
So strategic, yeah, it is strategic because I suppose in one way we have a limited resource. So we need to do the best with what we have. We have limited number of staff. So we need to reach the community groups, I suppose, that are going to achieve the greatest for us at one level. And then we need to reach the groups, maybe the younger groups or the smaller groups, and build their capacity. So we've got 2 pieces to do there. In relation to nature-based solutions, I suppose it's relatively new in this country. Some people have been thinking about it for a while, but it's relatively new in terms of community groups working with nature-based solutions. So a lot of what we're doing currently is introducing the idea. So we would have run a conference in May, a national conference on nature-based solutions. We have lots of information available. We have 2 engineers working specifically on nature-based solutions. So an example of this, there was a community group that had a really good idea for a project last year. They came to us. We were able to help them so far from the community piece, but we needed some expert engineering advice from the nature-based solution guys. So we were able to bring them on the project and help develop it. It's not an easy nature-based solution. It sometimes sounds like the easy kind of solution, but it's complicated enough. You know, it's a combination of ecology and engineering together. That is a new concept for a lot of people. So it's becoming more and more. We're really looking for those type of projects. But it is, I suppose, it's an organic growth that you're looking for as well, so that we're building the understanding, building people's capacity to be able to implement a project like that. So we would work closely with the engineers and closely with the community group. There are some projects that are happening in County Kilkenny actually in relation to farming and nature-based solutions. So like buffer wetlands to solve some kind of nutrient-rich water. So coming off farmyard. So it's not effluent or anything like that, but just some water that might have just excess nutrients from yards. So that's a good example, I suppose, of a nature-based solution that we've been working on for a couple of years, and that project is expanding into doing those wetlands in more farms. So and then there'll be a monitoring program to see if and how effective they are. So it's essential to have the data afterwards to make sure that we're actually doing the right thing.